Hello and welcome to the Powered by Rock podcast, where I'm going to be speaking with Sam and John from the Chicago-based rock band Kali Masi. These guys have been putting out some absolutely great music for about 5 or 6 years now, and I'm excited to talk to these guys about the music journey of Kali Masi right after this. You're listening to the Powered by Rock podcast with your host, Isaac Kuhlman. The Powered by Rock podcast was created to help showcase some of the best rock musicians in the world and to pass on to future generations the rock music that has inspired rock fans around the world for decades. We want listeners to be able to hear great stories and life experiences directly from their favorite artists, as well as dig deeper into music theory and talk rock like no other show you've ever heard. This isn't about looking cool, it's about getting real and having a great time. Without further ado, let's start the show. All right. Hello and welcome to the Powered by Rock podcast. I feel pretty good today because it's going to be a good episode full of interesting perspective, especially on the process of songwriting, because I'll be speaking with Sam and John from the band Kali Masi about their music, which is some pretty incredibly lyric-driven, really good songs filled with a lot of angst, passion, excitement, regret, resentment, and just about every other human emotion in between. So, hey, Sam and John, welcome to the show.
Hey, Isaac. Thanks for having us. Yeah. Thanks for coming on. So I know not everybody who listens to this show may know who Kali Masi is yet, unfortunately. That's kind of why I want to bring you guys on, because I think that you guys are freaking awesome. And even the fans who do know of you may not know kind of all about your band and maybe not know the backstory. So instead of going through the whole tiresome bit where I ask you, how did you guys get together? When did you start playing music and all that stuff? I'm going to change it up a little bit and get to the good parts while covering a bit of your bio as well. So you guys hail from Chicago, if I'm not correct. That's pretty much accurate, right? Like, or somewhere around Chicago. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And formed around 2016, from what I could find.
We formed a little before 2012. We changed our band name in 2017. So we are under a different band name called The Howl.
Yeah.
And put out some music. So we kind of started 2011. Our first show ever was actually 10 years ago. On Sunday. Today's Tuesday.
Wow.
On Sunday.
Yeah.
I saw that. I've been looking at the Facebook memories, and
wow,
everything works. They call it Facebook memories for a reason.
Gnarly.
Yeah, it's more like Facebook. Man, am I old? That's what it usually makes me feel like.
Time to delete Facebook.
Yeah, and so you guys actually were in a punk cover band before that, but my big question kind of right off the bat is, do you guys kind of still consider yourself a punk band, or are you kind of more broad than that now?
I guess more broad. It feels weird to say, like, I guess we're more of just like a rock band now, but like that feels like a lame thing to say, but I don't know. We're definitely a rock band,
I would absolutely agree with you, because I keep seeing a lot of journalists and stuff saying like, oh, it's a Chicago-based punk band. I'm like, if you listen to the music, it's not so much punk as it is just, pretty standard straight up rock with punk influences, something like Alkaline Trio, Taking Back Sunday, or something like that. Because you guys create what I call big songs. Like, it's not just like a 2-minute short bursty song, just like, here it is. That's what most punk is. And I know a lot of you guys have mixed influences from every genres, but do you guys feel like there's any bands or styles that kind of closely fit more like what your style than maybe just like punk?
You know how that band Cursive is kind of hard to define?
Absolutely love Cursive. Yeah,
they're like definitely influenced by punk and like like folk and bunch of stuff, and not like I'm saying that we're as good as Cursive, but I'm saying that I think that I have no problem with people having a harder time defining it, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a good thing, because even though, it doesn't fit somebody's label necessarily, it really does have a great sound. So like, it doesn't have to, like, you don't have like hook, chorus, or like, verse, chorus, bridge, whatever. And it doesn't just fit like a formula. And just like you said, Cursive, obviously, we'll be speaking with Tim Kasher in our new season of Powered by Rock podcast as well. So
nice.
Love him and love what they do. So you guys, I agree, like you guys kind of fit that mold of, I wouldn't say you're genre-less. I'd say you're more like you just kind of cross a lot of different genres of rock. So I think that's kind of where I would put you guys at.
Yeah, I think all of us really don't have like we don't have like a singular objective with this band, you know? Like it'd be maybe a lot easier of a band to be in if all four of us were like, all right, we want to sound just like the Ramones. Yeah. That would be much easier, but I don't think there's not many bands that all of us are like super into all together. We all have like such different tastes that just reach into a lot of different genres, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, John's just a super huge fan of ABBA, and that's why you guys got your sound the way it is, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So, obviously, your guys' band name comes from a type of chicken that has black feathers, beak, and eyes. I actually, that's pretty standard common knowledge, but does that have any more symbolism towards the overall feeling you want to convey with the band?
No, not like I guess a ton of... I think I saw a picture of that animal and I was like, whatever that is, we should name the band that. Because that is kind of just like, I don't want to read into it too much more than that. It's just a great looking bird, and the band name wasn't taken.
Yeah, it was. That's important too. That it wasn't taken. There's kind of a tradition of naming a band after animals or animal adjacent. And we kind of took what's a more obscure animal, I guess? What's a gorgeous, cooler animal than just an Arctic monkey,
Yeah.
Horrible band name, great band.
I don't even think about the fact that I don't even picture Arctic monkeys. I don't know. I don't even think about that anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
They stole it.
Yeah, band names are so weird like that. Like, you just spend so much time trying to find the right band name, but it really doesn't matter. If your band is good, people listen to it and they'll just associate the name with the band. They won't think about like how stupid TV on the radio is of a band name. You just think of the sick band TV on the radio.
Yeah, and I remember Dave Grohl saying something like, if I'd have known that Foo Fighters would become famous, I'd have changed the name right away.
Yeah, right. That's a good example.
So my other question is, have you guys ever had the chance to eat Kali Masi chicken, or is that something you might never want to do because it might be considered some form of cannibalism?
That's a great question.
Whoa.
I'm not a meat eater, so I would abstain from that. John, would you?
I would try it. It would have to be made by someone. I want my first experience to be really good. It would have to be made by someone who's done it before. I think it's hard to get in the United
Indian
States.
version of KFC or something, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I would. Yeah, absolutely. I've thought about that question before.
You said you never thought about that question?
No,
before?
I've asked myself that question before. And I was like, yes, absolutely. Because then when people in interviews ask us that, we have a little more of an antidote about it. Like, actually, we did try it, and then we wrote the best song of our life.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be like the Beatles going to like an ashram and like tripping, and you guys are like, no, we went to India and we ate chicken and we wrote the greatest album we've ever made.
Yes.
Cool. So let's talk about, obviously, the fact that you guys released a new album in March of 2021. Because I listened to it a few times shortly after its release, but for some reason I didn't think to review it until the end of December, which is the reason why I kind of got in contact with you guys. So first of all, sorry for the lateness there. Sometimes I just brain fart and forget that the awesome bands put out awesome albums. But I will say that you did put out one hell of an album, and I'm still blown away by the lyrical depth you put into each song. So I have a few questions based on that idea. So first, how do you decide like what amount of effort you put into lyrics for Kali Masi's music?
That's a good question. I guess I don't think about like how much effort. A lot of like the way that we have written songs in the past, in the majority of the songs we've written has been like music first and then lyrics. Write the lyrics to the music. Yeah. It ends up making for some kind of interesting melody choices, and also just kind of like writing lyrics separately, and then trying to like retroactively fit them into like the spaces that they fit into. I'm obviously like a very long-winded person. Like there's like a ton of lyrics on the record, and yeah, I don't really like trim the fat a lot. I think I'm getting better at knowing like how much to say, how long songs should be. I don't think they're
too long, you know.
No.
They're definitely not like 16 or 17 minutes long, but yeah, I guess back to your like initial question, just how much effort to put in. I guess I just am looking to like how can I write something that accurately says what I want to say, you know, in a from my perspective, and also like from a listener's perspective, how can I be clear, but also convey something new, make it exciting, yeah, all those things.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, what they try to do with lyrics is they'll try to be too cryptic, but you actually kind of straddle the line, because it's, I wouldn't say there's anything cryptic, because you very clearly explain a lot of what's happening through most of the songs. But what you don't explain, obviously, is you don't have to in a song, is like, you know, who this person is, what was the relationship. You don't clearly state everything, so that way it's not like a story so much as just a snapshot of like an emotion that's filled into a song.
Yeah, I think it's important when you're writing lyrics, especially if it's about something that's like not political and there's maybe like an abstract like emotional relationship to it, is to like not like make it overly specific so people still have like an inroad into relating to it, you know. Like obviously there's tons of examples in the lyrics of me being like hyper specific to things, but the general scenario that I'm talking about is usually not also like not one thing or one person, but it's like you take all these different experiences and you kind of put them into like one feeling of, you know, or one experience that you're having. And yeah, I think even if you spell it out a ton, people will still maybe get a completely different scenario out of what you're explaining to them.
Yeah. Did you have anybody like help shape your writing process? Like, did you go to college and study under somebody for that, or is it something that's kind of naturally grown over the years of writing?
I guess just grown over the years of writing. I mean, I definitely took like creative writing classes in high school, and have always been like a writer. But yeah, I would love to take classes in writing. I think I would probably get a lot out of knowing how to like just express myself that way when it's not out of necessity. Like with songwriting, I very much like need to write a song to express myself that way, you know?
Yeah, I had a creative writing professor in college. Her name is Dorian Lux. She was pretty well known across the U.S., but one thing that she would always tell us is like, say only what you have to say, like write what you're going to say and then cut it in half. Do that and then cut it in half again. And if it still means the same thing, you've actually got a better poem. And I was like, how's that possible? And then I started doing it. I was like, holy shit, that actually makes it way better. But yeah, there's, you know, you don't have to like cut stuff out. It's just that was one of the things when I saw that, obviously how much you guys write, how much you write in the lyrics. I was like, that immediately came to mind. I was like, what would happen if he cut it in half and then cut it in half again? Would it still mean the same? Would it still sound the same? Would it still have the same stuff like that? So it'd be a very interesting exercise if you ever wanted to try it, just to see how it would work out. But that was one thing I was told, and I was like, that's pretty cool. Like, I'm not trying to change anything about your style. Just we kind of a cool exercise to see what it would be like.
Yeah, totally. I try to do a lot of editing as I write, especially, you know, with the way that I was saying, you know, putting lyrics over the music. You know, a lot of times there will be just like 10 different versions of a verse, and I'm like, which one says what I'm trying to say? Which one talks about something that I haven't said before, and, you know, pushes your mind into the next, you know, the next part of the song, gets you prepped for what's coming next or what's exciting to hear.
Yeah, that's cool. And obviously I mentioned before, but you basically don't subscribe to that typical songwriting formula of like chorus, verse, chorus, bridge, like that kind of stuff, something like that. You do have choruses, but they come out kind of a lot more subtly than like a standard radio hit where it's just like you repeat the same 4 lines over and over. A couple songs, you obviously have refrains, but can you explain how, when you go into writing a song, what you think about the standards of songwriting and how you think it should kind of be somewhat standardized or not at all? Or is there something that you feel like, hey, we got to put something like this where people can sing along to it? Or what kind of goes into that for you guys?
I would say that we kind of don't think about those things. They're trying not to think about them. I think we, towards the end of writing this record and just kind of like moving forward, we're thinking about those things a little bit more, because we've never done that before. Really, we've never like been like, oh, let's write like a song that's really poppy, you know. We kind of like really last minute put together that song on the new record, Trophy Deer, and it's definitely the most like verse chorusy song out of all of them. Has like a big chorus, you know. And I think initially bringing it into the band, I was just like, this feels so cheesy to me. It just feels like, it feels not me, you know, to have that structure. And I think us as the four dudes who write this music are so used to like all the corners that we take in songwriting so many times that maybe it feels like not as exciting, especially if you play it for the 400th time, that you're just like, there's got to be something else we can do with this, the three parts in this song. But some of my favorite songs are two chords and one part, you know, just it just is kind of exercising like, what haven't we done before? And maybe one of those things we haven't done before is actually writing a pop song.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
yeah, maybe we it's like supposed to be the easy route, but it's actually the hard route that we
truthfully
write a radio song. Maybe, I don't know, you have like a different relationship with the songwriting, but I feel like I've just seen so many bands that are first chorus, you know, that type of thing, and it is kind of fun to play around with that a little bit and see if it's still good after.
Well, one of my favorite bands, Coheed and Cambria, they have like all these like 6-7 minute songs, 5 minute songs, but every once in a while they put out like a 2.5 or 3 minute song, and I'm like, it's so different from the rest of it that it's like, man, that catches your ear immediately, because you're like, that's faster tempo, it's like quick, it's done, and it's over, and you're like, that's kind of like now my favorite song, just because it's all the other ones are kind of similar in length, similar in you know, tempo, similar in all sound, and then that one's so different that it's like, wow, that catches you. Not that I prefer radio friendly songs, it's just every once in a while putting that, like you said, trophy deer on there, you might not like playing it for the 400th time, and this is something that, you know, fans never want to hear, is like, oh, don't play your favorite song, like, hey, I want you to play my favorite song, like, we don't want to play it anymore because we're sick of playing it. But it's like one of those poppy songs that if you get sick of playing it, you know, for a lot of people that's like one of their favorite songs, because it's just like, it's the thing that's different about it or whatever.
I mean, I don't want to come off as saying that like we're sick of playing any of these songs. I mean more like when we're writing them, you know, as we're just jamming the same riff over and over, we're like, what else can we do with it? But like even if it's just an A-B song, once you put vocals and everything together on it, it can be really fun. And like, we love playing those songs. We love playing Trophy Deer and songs that have like something that people can sing along to. But at the same time, we're like four artists that like want to try and make something new. Like, let's see if we can make something people haven't really like experienced or heard before. Let's see if we can make a sing-along song that doesn't have that feeling. You know, what will people sing along to? I love writing like lyrics that have like non-song words in them, like just words that like you don't hear in songs very often, or like aren't like super frequent,
like jejune or whatever, like jejune
like, just like a weird word, just throw it in there, and then people are like, I guess you know, it just kind of like hooks you. I think that stuff's fun.
I'm assuming half the people who listen to your lyrics intently are Googling a decent amount of what these words mean at times.
I like when I think everyone in the band likes records where not every song sounds like an attempt to be a single, you know?
Yeah.
Like, there are definitely records that are 10 songs long, and each one is, you know, that kind of verse chorus we were talking about, and then, you know, the two ones that are the catchiest are the singles, and then, but it's kind of cooler when, like, maybe a band has, like, a couple of those on a record, but then the rest are just them kind of screwing around with, like, the typical song structure.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, that's some of my favorite bands. Like you said, Cursive, Silver Sun Pickups is a lot like that in my opinion as well. Some of those really good bands that I like are very much like that. Portugal the Man's another one, although they've written some pretty poppy songs lately, but they used to be very off script for a long time. So, but I do want to go back to your first album for just a minute, because that particular album, it's like one long love letter of regret, nostalgia, hate, and languishing in a place that just isn't comfortable, to say the least. A lot of these concepts kind of bleed in the new album as well. So I have kind of two questions here. The first one is, in the first album, you reference body parts a lot, like the spine and the palm in various songs. And in most references to the palm, it's holding something. But there's also double meanings at some points about reading the future, or for having red palms, as in the color. What's the intentional connection of bringing back the palm throughout the wind instrument album? I think even in one song, you say it like 3 or 4 times.
I don't know. I don't think that was intentional. It may be just like kind of what was going on in my head at that time. an easy way for me to express was using body parts. I love like double entendres, you know, as a writing tool, like her palms are red, your other left, and stuff like that. Yeah. I like using that kind of stuff a lot, and since a lot of the songs are involving a group of people, yeah. I wish I could say it was like super, super intentional. But someone came up to me at a show the other day and was just like asking me on the new record, like, why I talk about grace so much. He's like, why did you choose the word grace? And like, grace is like a motif throughout the album. And I was just like wait, what? I didn't even mean to do that or even think about that. It's just like, you know, I guess that's just a motif of what's going on, you know, or what I'm thinking about, you know.
Okay, yeah. So it kind of feels like both of these albums are basically your personal life is in broadcast here. Does that ever bother you? Do you feel like you have to be personal in order to write good songs, or do you have to kind of toe the line of between personal and kind of putting some layer of like a veil of secrecy over it?
I think there's a huge advantage to being personal because, you know, if you feel a way, you're almost guaranteed there are other people who feel the same way. Even if that's like a really specific, deep feeling, you can throw it out there and people will definitely like latch onto it. Yeah. I would say the only time that it's like scary to be vulnerable like that is just like when I'm showing the other dudes in the band a song, you know, because they're like my closest
like
friends.
Some Britney Spears bullshit. What is this?
Yeah, and you just like throw out this feeling, and you're just like, oh man, you know, you're being vulnerable in real life with the real people that are in your life.
You're literally saying like, hey, I've got like heartbreak emotion, and this is what the song's about. So hopefully you guys are okay with that, right?
Mm-hmm. I will say it does, like, if we play like kind of a show that maybe there aren't like a ton of people at or into, it feels weird to play like a song like Still Life or something, where, you know, it's like a hyper vulnerable song and maybe there's just like two people at the bar like yelling over your set and you're just
watching
like, oh,
TV or something instead.
yeah but it's all good.
Yeah. John, how does that kind of come into the music? Do you guys actually know what the songs are about? Do you guys kind of all form together as a band and kind of think of like, hey, obviously the music's going to go one way, but do the lyrics play any sort of like, you know, into any of the drums or any of the other music?
Yeah, I take Sam's lyrics and then I go home and I psychoanalyze him, and then I like write out like prescriptions for him, and like what I think he needs, and then I write like little how-tos of like.
He's very supportive.
No, dude, his lyrics are always awesome. I can, like, there is 110% trust in that realm. It's never anything judgmental or like, it's just like, fuck yeah, I'm your biggest fan, you know, but I'm also in the band. Affecting drum parts, no, not really. I think the lyrics don't affect the drum parts. Maybe that'd be kind of an interesting exercise though. But sometimes I don't always know exactly what Sam is singing until we're in the studio.
Yeah.
After I've recorded drums. But yeah, that would be a cool exercise. Drum parts definitely come with guitar and bass, and
obviously, I mean, obviously you're keeping in there with the bass and keeping the percussion going and stuff like that. But it's always interesting to me, you know, how obviously like Neil Peart from Rush would write the lyrics, so he would kind of know exactly what's the song about, and then Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson would actually go out and play the music, and then he would make the drums go with it. But it's just an interesting concept of like how much of it kind of ties all together with everything, because you know there are bands out there that do this stuff, you know, and I know you guys, I think Sam, you once said that you haven't really thought about or try to do a concept album, but it would be an interesting thing to try. So it's one of those things that like there's so much stuff out there, you got to ask these questions, because like maybe there's something so clever going on that you guys are like inherently doing it and don't even know it.
But I think people just like thread the concept thing like on their own a little bit, you know, like a lot of people I think reacted to Laughs a little bit like, it's almost like feels like a concept record, and then kind of like picked through it and found stuff that they could weave together. And that's what's fun about records that have a lot of layers that you can kind of come back to and listen to and find new things and like be like, oh man, he says palms a lot. What's up with that? You know, and like
I never noticed that.
Yeah, so that kind of stuff is really fun and interesting. It would be cool. I don't know if we've got it in it to write a concept album. It sounds like a tremendous amount of work, to be honest.
Yeah, like writing 12 songs that are all basically one song. I can't even put two songs.
Yeah, it have to be something you're very passionate about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You have 12 songs worth of ideas to convey.
Yeah, I will say, like, our one thing, like the current rehearsal space that we're in is really big and echoey. And I remember when we were writing songs for wind instrument, like when we went to record them, I'd play like a little lead part or something, like when we were recording. And like, I remember Ryan, who was playing bass in the band, being like, I didn't even know you did that. Like and like, especially like the lyrics, like no one knew anything that I was saying because it's just like a cave. And I feel like writing in that space now, it's just like a wash of sound. Like recording is going to be exciting because we're going to finally hear what the other people are actually fucking playing.
That's funny. So obviously one thing that you do have as a recurring concept is the song recurring 1 and 2. And you did mention that you had thought about that one beforehand. So maybe after you write maybe like 10 albums and have recurring on every
recurring
single
3,
one.
Recurring 4, recurring 5.
Just
like
have
that
one
whole
album
next
called recurring 1 through 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's talk about the fact that obviously I want to find out, like, because this is kind of a more personal question, but it's the subject of both albums. Are they the same person? Do you have like one true love that you're struggling to come to terms with, or are the songs just a response to the emotions that you felt at the time of writing them about something that happened?
Yeah, I think more of the latter. The second record is really intentionally not about like romantic relationships, and it's just really focused on platonic friendships. And you know, I think especially like kind of towing the genre line that we toe, we really didn't want to write like necessarily like romantic heartbreak songs that like vilify like a female or anything like that. I think that's pretty tired. And you know, also wanted to like explore the kind of like male friendships, pros and cons, if you will. And yeah, I mean, I guess like writing for me always just comes from, like I said before, like a place of like necessity, like things that I feel like I really need to say. I'm not the kind of person who like seeks out bad experiences to give myself a pain to write about by any means. You know, I'm very much interested in writing about joy, but that's not really my style. So I'm, you know, trying to figure that out too. That I think there's a lot of conflict on the new record about that, because it's like, it's so much in the search for joy, but you know, there's a lot, aren't we all? It's just a struggle to get there. So, I really wanted to kind of showcase that talk about that duality of just like, you really can't just have one. You can't just have the heartbreak. You can't just have, you know, it wasn't always their fault. It's a lot of it's your fault, you know, and just kind of like explore that from not just finger pointing direction.
Yeah. And I think, you know, I write songs and stuff as well, and have poetry and stuff. And when I always think of it, like if I have like an emotion, it doesn't even have to be connected to a real experience all the time, but I'll get like just really deep onto that one emotion and think about how that emotion's affecting what I'm doing at that current time. And I'll just write about that. And that's kind of how it seems like you're kind of taking like a snapshot of time and just writing the setting, writing the feelings, writing the, you know, everything that's about it. And it's not just, you know, a fleeting feeling. It's there, but you may not even remember that feeling. You know, 2 months later when you go back to sing the song or whatever, you remember it because you wrote it down, but you didn't experience it the same way after you've experienced. So I was just curious if that's kind of like how it kind of feels to you when you write sometimes.
Yeah, and totally. And sometimes like in writing a song later, you look at the lyrics or hear the song back and it informs you in a different way. Maybe you were being more accurate than you even thought. Maybe you write the lyrics and you're like, these aren't very good. And then later you're like, that was exactly what I was feeling at that time.
Have you ever written something and go, you know, come back to it later and you're like, I don't even remember writing that. Fuck, that's good.
I think there more so. There's just like songs that inform me in a different way now. When I listen back to them, I'm like, oh shit, that's some like stoic wisdom that I need now that I didn't need as much then.
Yeah.
You know.
Cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the tour that you guys obviously went on. You finished it in the UK, and the unfortunate cancellation of the European show. So first of all, are you going to be going back at any time in the near future to fulfill those dates? Obviously, right now is literally impossible as we're sitting here. COVID cases are spiking all across the world. But is that something that you guys are planning on doing like this year, or is it just you can't do it right now because it was essentially, the financial situation of it was just too rough?
So the last 6 dates of this past European tour got canceled because Germany was closing down, like for sure. So all those dates are in Germany, and so we are planning to come back to Germany in June, and that
Nice.
is so far so good. People will probably hear more about that soon. But yeah, yes, we are planning to go back, and we're very excited, and hopefully things are a little smoother, a little safer.
Yeah. I was going to
little
suggest if you
less
guys
up in
did
the
go back,
air.
you should time it up with Oktoberfest and really celebrate while you're there.
Oh, is that
Awesome.
when's Oktoberfest?
That's like September though.
I'm
So
just
you
kidding.
yeah.
Wait, it's not in October?
Well, it goes till October. See,
Okay.
most events are like planned the day that something starts. But what the Germans did was I think they probably started it in October originally, and they're like, let's just party for 3 weeks up to that point.
Okay, like Christmas.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
whole month of December. No,
Yeah.
we always plan on doing like fun stuff on tour, and then we have things that we need to do in places that we need to be.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, cool. So one thing I really like about you guys is, first of all, do you guys have any North American or U.S. Tour dates that you guys have coming up?
Man, it's tricky. What I was thinking about this today. We were able to do this European tour, and none of us got sick. And the reason we got home is because Germany was locking down.
Yeah,
We could go on tour in the U.S. The U.S. is not going to lock down. The only reason we will stop touring in the U.S. is because we will get sick, and that's the problem with touring in the United States. That like the touring won't stop because of a lockdown. The touring only stops because individuals and individual bands get sick, because that's the culture, of our country is like, if you get sick, you have to go home, but we're not stopping. And it's just like, I just hadn't thought about that before, that like, oh yeah, like that's the reason we went home, is because they were concerned about the community of Europe, the community of Germany. So, we really want to tour in the US. We haven't done it in years. We used to do it constantly.
yeah,
And it was so much fun, and we haven't been to some of these places in years, and we really want to do it when the time is right. So we are like always talking about it and trying to plan for it, but it seems really hard right now.
yeah, of course, yeah. So it's good to know. But plans are in the works, and hopefully,
Yep.
things will make it easier. Or even if you can do like a regional tour just to get out there and see what's going on, and not obviously not get COVID while you're doing it. So that would be cool. One thing I do want to talk about is obviously your guys' music videos. So I think you guys do some pretty incredible stuff, especially for the last few songs. Trophy Deer was an animated video, basically done by Anthony, and I think John, you did some of the background work, right? So
You
Can
did
you
your,
talk to
you
me
did
about,
your
like, how did you
research,
put that
Isaac.
together?
I'm very impressed by your research. We put it together. Anthony, so he took footage of us. All the parts of the video where we are playing is based off of actual video that we took of us playing. And Anthony learned how to rotoscope. It's the first time he did it, which is basically like tracing each and every frame. And pretty much drawing each and every frame. So I don't know how many frames he drew total. So it's almost like flash motion. I don't know exactly how to.
yeah, it was
describe it, but-
33,452 frames. No, I was kidding. I have no idea.
hey man, I would honestly not be surprised. You seem to know your shit very well. So
Be like, how about that research?
Damn.
yeah, that was all Tony learning how to do that. It turned out really sick. I drew the backgrounds, which were the easiest part.
Yeah, because they don't move much, right?
Yeah, they don't.
Yeah. So then obviously you guys did probably one of the most technically challenging videos that I've seen, especially in a long time, Guilt Like a Gun. So what was the thought process behind that? And you know, obviously you got the phones doing all sorts of different stuff and, you know, crisscrossing between phones. And obviously that's not something you do. It reminds me a lot of OK Go and how they do all that crazy shit with all their, you know, video technology and crazy stuff. So what was the kind of idea that behind that video and who came up with that?
I initially wanted to just do a video of us like FaceTiming each other playing, and then I was like, oh, and it'd be cool because like I could get on John's phone and then we could switch it around, and it just like it's fun. I think both of those videos, Trophy Deer and Guilt, are like great examples of like the personality behind like the person who mostly like spearheaded it. Like Anthony, when he gets an idea and has something he wants to do, it's just like blinders, and he just like does it like nonstop. Like he'd never rotoscoped or animated anything before, and he just like bulldozed that project. It's so cool. And like with Guilt Like a Gun, like we broke into teams. Like John and Nancy were going to work on Trophy Deer, and me and Wes were going to work on Guilt. We're like, oh, we should, you know, what phone tricks, magic tricks can we do? And we like sat around on a table with some colored pencils and like made some like football plans basically of like how we would do it. And then it was just like, well, what can happen around on this table? Around this, and it just like spiraled out of control, like with just how much shit we could pile on this table, and how there could be like a narrative, like the party that's happening is like our record release party, and like all this stuff. It was just like
throwing loose change at the exact same time that you say loose change at the.
That's an Anthony thing. Yeah. He's like so good at stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, it just in terms of just being someone who's very long-winded, I feel like that video was just every idea at once.
Well, I mean, you get to play beer pong in it, so it can't be that bad, right?
True. Yeah, we actually did. There was some real alcohol going on there. Yeah, that was a super fun video to shoot, and yeah, we somehow nailed it. I think that for both of those videos too, there's probably a professional who knows how to do them way faster than the ways that we did them. Yeah. Like we actually filmed with 4 cameras in a big space, us like on these big colored backdrops, running, like we were running around from backdrop to backdrop. It was all choreographed. We did it like 1,000 times. And then same thing with the phones. Like it's not like a video like that's like set in After Effects on the phone. It's like actually we sat with our phones. We went 1, 2, 3. Everyone hit play. Oh shit!
Choreograph where you put them on the table.
Yeah, like had to start over a million times because we're like, oh, my phone's slow or whatever, and then put them on the table. It was like we really did that, and there's definitely a easier way to do it that someone who does this for a living knows how to do. But we don't. We're dumb, so we just did it the hard.
They probably
way.
do it on like simulated screens or something, but you guys are like doing it by playing the video off your screen.
Yeah.
Well, we're not dumb. We just we're a small band that doesn't have $15,000 to pay like a professional from LA to come help us make our music videos. So
yeah, exactly.
We're smart. We're just poor
ourselves.
Smart. We're smart, but we're poor. Help us.
Yeah.
Sometimes cool stuff comes from small budgets.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the more things that you do yourself, the more tools you have in your bag to do crazy shit next time too.
Yeah.
So, it is fun how much stuff you can kind of learn, kind of force yourself to learn if you really want to do it.
Do you feel like you're building yourself up to where you can't match that every time out now? On the next single, you're just going to go back to straight to camera.
Like how to top the videos?
Yeah.
We'll do something different and new. I mean, honestly, like I thought the Freer video was really a good concept too, because it's just the one shot. That was Anthony.
I'm assuming that's green screen, right? Because it's like a video.
No way.
No way. We don't know how to do that. It's on my rooftop.
Okay.
Green screen.
Yeah,
we have James Cameron.
Because it looks like you're standing there, and then a lot of things are happening behind you. But I'm like, is that actually happening behind him, or is that video footage from something else?
No, it's real. It's real. We did it at double speed, so I had to learn how to sing the song really fast.
Gotcha.
So it was really easy to film because it just took like 30 seconds or 1 minute or whatever, because it was like twice speed. And we just had one light and like an hour of sunset to do it at.
Gotcha. Okay. That is interesting. Yeah, because I watched that one too, and I'm like, that's cool, but it just looks like a video projected behind you or something from what I could tell, because it looked like you were kind of cut out there, and I'm like, this looks like green screen, but I can't tell. Like it's just
That's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, I'll take that as a compliment. I think
so good it looked like
It
CGI.
looks fake.
Can't be real.
So good it looks
Too good.
kind of shitty.
That's awesome. So that's pretty much all I got for you guys. We'll add some links to the show notes, obviously to your music and anything else that you guys want to promote or whatever. But do you guys have anything else that you want to talk about or plug or say to listeners before we go today?
I can't think of anything. It's a quiet time for Kali Masi. We just got back from Europe. We're chilling. We're concocting some pretty crazy shit, and you'll hear about it.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good.
Yeah, follow us on social media, Kali Masi Band, Instagram and Twitter, and listen to our new record if you haven't. It's on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, all that stuff. It's called Laughs by Kali Masi. Yeah.
Well, I've got a little sneak preview for you guys. We're actually announcing our Powered by Rock 2020 music awards tomorrow. So this is being recorded on the 4th of January. We're tomorrow on the 5th. You guys are up for 2 of our awards.
What?
I won't spoil which ones, but you'll see your guys' names on there tomorrow morning.
Most handsome drummer. Oh my God.
Oh my God. He wins again every year.
Every year. That's really cool. Thanks.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you guys win, obviously we'll have you back on. We'll have you holding the trophy up instead.
Oh my God. I'm pumped.
Wait, that's sick. Who are we up against?
Well,
I can look it up maybe. Or you're gonna announce it tomorrow. Sorry.
We'll see. You only have about 12 hours to wait or less, so a little bit more, I guess. But you'll know soon enough, and I will be interested to see how you guys feel. But it will be open for voting as well. So we kind of have a mixed. So fan vote will make some sort of amount of the decision, but it won't be the only thing because we also want to put the artistic and some of the other stuff that we feel is actually truly the better stuff out there ahead of just what's popular. So it will be kind of a mixed bag of editorial versus opinion of the crowd. So I look forward to seeing what's going to happen with this and see how it goes. But you guys are up for, I think it's 2, maybe 3.
Whoa.
I think it's 2 though. So maybe 3 actually.
Who are the judges and what's their Venmo?
Simon Cowell, Tyler Perry, Katy Perry.
Yeah, we've got all the record executives doing our panel. So just tell them, hey, you know what? We'll pay you $1,000, and obviously that'll be it. Now, much smaller company than Rolling Stone for sure. Awesome, guys. So I want to thank you guys today for obviously Sam and John from Kali Masi for the awesome conversation. And if you haven't checked out their music, you definitely should. Go to the show notes below this episode for the links. If you like what you heard on the show, please make sure to subscribe to the podcast and share it with your friends on social media as well. You can see the full video, the video interview on our YouTube channel. And if you want to get some cool written content or any of the products or merch that we have available, go to poweredbyrock.com to read our absolutely free rocking blog full of album reviews, interviews, and lists to keep you entertained, and find our gear as well so you can pick up some items to play and look like a rock legend. That's our show for today. We'll see you soon for the next episode. Until then, rock on.